Welcome to For Book Lovers Only Live Radio, where we discuss amazing books written by talented authors. For Book Lovers Only Live Radio is a proud member of the Village Connector Media Network. If you love books, we have a home for you. Now time for your host and chief book lover, Rob Brown.
Welcome, book lovers, to For Book Lovers Only Live Radio. We are delighted to have you here on this Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here at For Book Lovers Only, if you love books, we have a home for you. So thank you so much for joining us today. We have in our studios Renee Brown, who is the author of The Big Rig Kids. We're so excited to have her today. We're going to be talking to her a little bit later. She's got a lot of exciting things that are going on with the Big Rig Kids and a lot of events that she's involved in, so we are so delighted to have her in the studios. We had a really great reception from our first broadcast. We've had people as far west as California and as far east as Paris, France, tune in to our inaugural broadcast of For Book Lovers Only Live Radio. So the show is growing even after the first broadcast, and we're really excited that the viewership is starting to increase and that people are seeing that we're really dedicated to books and authors and just really serving the community with what we're building here. I want to start the show out today with a few announcements. The new edition of the Book Lovers newsletter is going to be released towards the end of February. And for those who are on the Book Lovers mailing list, you want to go to www.forbookloversonly.com and join our Book Lovers Club, our Book Lovers mailing list. It's completely free. We're going to be giving out a lot of information with regards to books, new authors, book signings, events in your community near you. And it's just a wonderful resource for book lovers. In our upcoming, our newsletter, towards the end of February, we're going to be talking about new books. We're going to be talking about new authors. I'm also going to be in my Friends of FBLO, Friends of For Book Lovers Only. We're going to be introducing you to Josh Trent of Front Rows Productions. I think I had mentioned him in our inaugural broadcast. Josh is a very talented producer of book trailers out in Los Angeles, California. He's great, and hopefully at some point we either have him in the studios talking to us directly about book trailers, or we'll have him calling in. So make sure that you join our Book Lovers mailing list, our Book Lovers Club, so that you can get that valuable information when it comes out towards the end of February. Something that you want to also mark your calendar on. For many of you, I have discussed that I am writing my first book and self-publishing it called No Business Cards Allowed. It is a book about networking, more effective networking in the social media era. I talk about things, the 96-hour rule, the EB pivot, defining the maybe and cool hand Luke syndrome, a lot of things, a lot of techniques and strategies that are going to help business owners and salespeople really take their sales and their business development to the next level. A lot of it is anecdotal. I provide a lot of specific language to use at networking events, using on LinkedIn. And I say all that to say I'm going to be having I'm actually going to be speaking at an event to the Association of Talent Development Metro DC chapter at their event titled The Free Agent in Networking: How to Make the Most of Your Networking Opportunities. And the title of my presentation is going to be largely centered around a lot of the concepts, techniques, and strategies that I teach in my book. And the title of my presentation is The 3 Types of Networkers, and a few pointers on how to become the most effective one and avoid being the other 2. It's going to be a really exciting seminar that I'm going to be presenting, and I'm looking forward to being of service to those in attendance. That's going to be on Tuesday, May the 9th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the University of Virginia's Northern Virginia Center. The address is 7054 Haycock Road. That's spelled Haycock Road in Falls Church, Virginia. Once again, that's going to be Tuesday, May the 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. If you're in the area, feel free to stop by. The registration is free, and I would love to meet you. I also want to announce the winner of our first For Book Lovers Only Live radio book contest that we had in our inaugural broadcast. Nancy Stemple is the winner of our first For Book Lovers Live radio contest. She was the first person to send me an email. So we will be sending her a free copy of Lisa McFarland's Henry Meets Cappy the Lobster, and we had discussed Lisa's book, Henry Meets Cappy the Lobster, in our inaugural broadcast. It's a great book, and it's available on ForBookLoversOnly.com, so make sure you get a copy of that. Once again, congratulations, Nancy. And Nancy, if you're watching, I want you to remember, if you take a picture of yourself holding Henry Meets Cappy the Lobster and send it back to me, I will send you a free $5 Starbucks gift card, so that when you're reading Henry, you can be enjoying a nice latte while you're doing it. So once again, Nancy Stemple, congratulations to you. Now, I want to take a quick station identification. This is For Book Lovers Only Live Radio. My name is Rob Brown. I am your internet radio host and chief book lover, and we are happy that you are tuning in and joining us. We have Renee Brown in our studios. She is the author of The Big Rig Kids. We're going to be talking to her very shortly. She's got a lot of dynamic things that she's working on these days, and she is doing a tremendous amount of good for her community. Her book is educational, it's very entertaining, and it has such a wonderful, positive message. We are so excited to have Renee in our studios. I want to talk to you a little bit about book trivia. I had mentioned in our inaugural broadcast that from time to time we will be having book trivia. And this may be of interest to our studio guest, who is from South Carolina, correct? Okay. The first public library in America, in the United States, was opened in Charleston, South Carolina in 1698. I don't know if you know that, or you might know where it's at. Charleston's a very charming city. But the first public library in the United States was opened there in 1698. And our second piece of book trivia, which actually deals with children's books, Geoffrey Chaucer, his treatise on the astrolabe is quite possibly the first children's science book written in English, and he actually wrote it for his son. So we found that very interesting and wanted to share that information along with the first public library in Charleston, South Carolina trivia with you. So just a little bit of information that you can, talk about at your next cocktail party as a topic of conversation. So we're happy to share that with you. Now, we are going to kind of go and dive in to our books. Our first book that we're going to start with is The Big Rig Kids, and it is written once again by Renee Brown. She is from South Carolina and currently resides in Charlotte, which is another wonderful southern city. I remember the first time I actually went to Charlotte, I noticed, I thought it was really cool. Charlotte is known as the Queen City. The Queen City. And on all of the street signs, you have like a little Queen's crown on it. Yeah, I had a former friend who was stationed down there in the Marines and went to visit him, and he had told me a little bit about the city. It's a very charming city. Renee is a former truck driver, and she, during your travels in driving a truck, you came up with the idea of the Big Rig Kids. And I'm just going to say a little bit about it, and then I'm going to give the floor to you. The Big Rig Kids are bringing attention to the many adversities many children are facing today. Renee wants to reach the children while reaching their parents. Reading can open doors and spark conversations. Each character in the Big Rig Kids represents a unique and diverse part of the world. And once again, we have Renee Brown in our studios. Renee, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you, Rob, for having me.
Absolutely. So, when we were talking and prepping for today's broadcast, right? You have so much going on. First, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Renee Brown. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 3 daughters, and I have 5 grandchildren. And I now reside in Charlotte, and I write full-time now.
You write full-time, so okay, that's awesome. I love it when I hear about an author pursuing their passion of writing full-time. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. Congratulations on that. So the Big Rig Kids, and we were talking, like, where'd you get the idea for the Big Rig Kids? We were talking about how when you were doing when you were driving trucks and ideas come to you. Tell us about that.
Right. The ideas came to me. I have 5 grandkids. That's how we came up with the 5 kids. But with all the diversities and the adversities that we see and face today, I wanted something to come back to the kids with in a positive way. Something where we can unite and still reach out and help others regardless of what our situation is. Right now we have 5 children. We have a set of African-American twins who live with their grandmother.
Okay.
We have an Asian young lady. She has sickle cell anemia. Maria has sickle cell anemia. The Asian young lady is a foster child. And then we have the Caucasian young boy. He's adopted. And with all of the situations of these kids, is an adversity to many. And they may feel that, well, you know, I'm in this situation, so I can't do. I don't have anything to give. But together as a group, they come together and they do positive things in the community. They support each other. They're there for each other. Grandma Polly is there for them to lean on also. And Sapphire, which is the truck, you know, I told you about how I came about her. The trucking industry is an industry that's dominated by men.
Right.
I wanted the truck to be a female because we're out there driving too. We just don't get the attention. So with the truck being a female, I also wanted the female to be the smart one. She's the voice of wisdom.
The voice of wisdom. I hear you.
She's the voice of wisdom. And each one of these kids, they have their own personalities regardless of what they're going through. Maria plays the flute. She makes beautiful music. Music is healing. Music has a universal voice. We all understand music.
Right.
When it comes down to Sasha, I gave Sasha the iPad. She's real great with that. But when you go into the businesses to have a computer or something fixed, that's a business that's dominated by men. Our geeks are dominated by men. So I wanted to reverse that. Corey is a reader. We always say men don't read. So, you know, you give a young boy your book now, we're encouraging our young boys to read. With, excuse me, Naoki. Naoki is an artist. She actually creates music with her drawings. Drawings also, you may see it as looking at it in one way in. This is what this picture looks like. I may look at that picture and see something totally different.
Completely different perspective. Right?
Completely perspective. But art brings happiness. You know, all those things happen. And Sapphire, Papa Doc died. She was willed to Grandma Polly, which she didn't know the truck could talk until, you know, the kids found out.
Right.
But she was a hoot when she found out about it. She didn't know whether she believed it or not. But just bringing all of these things together, especially with what's going on out in the world today, it's just bringing unity, happiness, support, understanding. It shows we all can understand and relate to each other. We don't always have to agree.
Right.
But we could always come together and understand each other. We don't have to agree.
Right. So the book, basically, for the characters in the book, they have, you know, certain challenges that they're dealing with, but the book basically shows how, you know, people can get together and despite the different challenges that they're facing, they can cooperate. And it sounds like it's dispelling a lot of different stereotypes with regards to like how we view people.
Yes. And that's basically it. You know, like I said before, we say guys don't read. Guys are game geeks, you know, the text. So you dispel those things. With Maria having sickle cell, it's a disease that we don't hear much about, but it affects people of brown skin. We hear about the cancers, we hear about the diabetes, and all of those things, but sickle cell is not something that you could just ride down the street and hear about it on the radio all the time.
Right.
And it's something that's big in our communities. So what I want to do, it's a series of 8 books. This is the first one. What I want to do with these books is take situations that are common, but it's buried because we don't hear a whole lot of it.
Right.
And then turn around and create community services with young people. As like I was telling you earlier, March 4th, we're actually hosting a community blood drive in Charlotte.
I see.
And this book actually ends with the blood drive. So each book will end up with something that we can go out and do some type of community service on to help others.
So do you have, now you had mentioned that this is the Big Red Kids is a first in a series of 8 books. Do you have an idea for all 8 books, or are you just using the creative process and creating it as you go along?
I have all 8 titles, and I'm working on the second one. The second one, we're actually dealing with homelessness and bullying.
So the Big Red Kids deal with homelessness and bullying?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
How would they address that? How can they help people, that are in that situation? A lot of times we see homeless people and we feel that they're out there because it's their fault.
Right.
And a lot of times it's just circumstances. How can a child prevent themselves from being homeless? They can't. It's the circumstances that they were born into.
Right.
Because if the parents is homeless, they can't do for themselves.
Right.
So now we as children in this book, there's always a problem, and then there's always a solution.
Right.
So that's how each book will go on.
And the Big Red Kids, as they experience the problem, they talk about it amongst themselves and they take action in order to solve the problem, despite the different disabilities and despite the challenges. They're able to work together.
Yes, in spite of.
In spite of. Well, that is a wonderful concept. Now, you told me it took you 3 years to write this book. Tell us a little about, you mentioned that you wrote the book while you were still driving the truck. So Partially. Okay. So were you, when kind of inspiration hit you to just pull the truck over the side of the road and start writing? Or how did that work?
Oh, no. Okay. My husband and I, we ran teams. So one was driving when the other one wasn't.
Okay.
So a lot of times I would have to pull my phone out and just record that thought that came to mind and then go back and deal with it later. And it took 3 years because I wrote a little bit, then time would go by, did nothing to it. Then wrote a little bit, time would go by, did nothing to it. So then I finally decided I was going to get off the truck and do this full time.
I see.
So then I was able to really put real time into it. The brain is always going. When I first started this, I had to learn how to shut the brain down because it was just all over the place, Okay, you can write this, write that, write that. I have a notebook with so many thoughts and so many different ideas that can never go into one book. And sometimes it don't even fit with the topic that you're dealing with.
Right.
But just keeping that notebook, now I have stuff to go back to. I have more materials that I could go back to for the other books.
So that's great. So as ideas came to you, just recorded them, and then you came back to them, and then you had your notebook, and you have all this information that you can always go back to help you write the series of I guess you have 1 down and 7 to go.
Yes.
Okay. When is the second book coming out?
Right now, we're looking at the end of summer.
End of summer?
If it stays on pace, it will be the end of summer.
So what type of reception are you getting from the readers of the Big Red Kids?
Awesome. But from the adults to the children, everybody's just excited about it. Many of them have said they've seen in some of the characters as reading the book, they've seen things from their childhoods. Right. They've seen things that they've dealt with. They're seeing things now that others are dealing with today. The kids want to be Big Red Kids. So we came up with buttons, and I'm wearing one today.
A Big Red Kids button?
A Big Red Kid button.
Okay. I hope you have an extra one.
Yes, I do. I have one for you.
Okay.
And it also say working together. And that's the main focus of the book. Just learning how to work together and acceptance.
That is a wonderful message for the kids. It's actually a wonderful message for all of us, especially in the current climate that we're in. We're watching the news and we're seeing how people are not working together. The Big Rig Kids is definitely a breath of fresh air and a step in the right direction. I want to take a moment just to read a little bit from the Big Rig Kids, and for our viewers, I want to actually show them, make sure they can actually see the cover of the book. It's a wonderful cover. I love it. We were just talking to Glenn just now, and he said, "Wow, that looks like a cartoon." And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to see a Big Rig's cartoon. Who knows?"
We hear that all the time.
Right.
That's one of the things we're getting back. Also, when are you guys going to do the cartoon? When you're going to come out with the cartoon? And it was like, whoa, wait a minute. We just got the first book done, We're also working on a children's CD with the music. The music is already on the website.
Okay.
And, we're getting great feedback. We just don't have money.
Right. Well, like Glenn said, sponsorship.
Yes.
So I'm going to read the beginning of chapter 4. I'm only going to read about 2 pages of it. If you want to read more, go to forbookloversonly.com and purchase a copy. All right, so the beginning of chapter 4 is, "Oh my gosh," Sasha cried. "You've got to be kidding," Caden said. "Wow," said Corey. "I can't believe it," from Maria. Naoki clapped and spun around. Grandma Polly looked at them and frowned. "Why are you acting like this?" she asked. "Do you know something I don't?" The kids looked at each other and smiled big smiles. "You could say that," said Corey. "You could definitely say that." They all burst into great big belly laughs. "Now cut it out," yelled Grandma Polly. "Stop this right now. I mean it. What's going on? All I did was inherit a truck." Sasha took a deep breath. "Oh no, Grandma, you inherited Sapphire. She's not just any truck, she's Sapphire." The kids giggled uncontrollably and clutched their stomachs. They were driving Grandma Polly crazy. She flopped down on the glider and took a deep breath. "Either you let me in on your secret or you can count those cupcakes as your supper," she pointed to Sasha and Caden. "I'm not cooking for kids who think keeping secrets is something to laugh about. No siree." She stood up and took the plate of cupcakes into the house. She even let the screen door slam behind her. She was really steaming mad. "We're in big trouble, but we couldn't tell her about Sapphire yet," Sasha said. "Now we have to." Maria turned to Corey. "Ride your board down to Sapphire's and tell her what happened. Tell her everything. Hurry. We'll be along in a few minutes." A lot of action in just those 2 pages. That is, I love the tone with which you drafted this book, and it just sounds like there's a lot of interaction between Grandma Polly and the 5 kids.
Yes, it is. Grandma Polly, I grew when I was growing up. And I don't like using the word old because that's what they call her in the book. But every adult in the neighborhood was your grandma.
Right.
Everybody cared for everybody, and we've gotten away from that. We don't have the village anymore. We don't have the grandmas anymore. Everybody's busy working, going out into whatever they're doing. When I was coming up, my grandma was always home when I got off of the bus. And that was where all the neighborhood kids went. And that's kind of like what it's like here. Grandma Polly has all the neighborhood kids, and she gets them involved in church bake-offs and all that stuff. And if we could do that with our children today, I think it would alleviate a lot of the problems that we see in the streets with our children.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
They have nowhere to go and nobody to turn to.
Right. Well, Grandma Polly is definitely a wonderful example of, the days that, we hopefully can go back to at some point. The Big Rig Kid sounds like such a wonderful book. As we kind of wrap up here, tell us a little bit more about any type of upcoming activities that you have planned. I know that you're doing the readings in the elementary schools, and I know you have your blood drive coming up. Is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers and listeners?
Actually, we have a reading here in Oxon, Maryland this afternoon at 4.
Oxon Hill, Maryland?
Yeah, Oxon Hill.
Okay.
Oxon Hill, Maryland at 4 o'clock. And if you go to my Facebook page or website, The address will be on there because I don't remember it right offhand.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's incentive for people to come to your website. So once again, Renee, thank you so much. We want you to stick around for another couple of books. But for our viewers and listeners and book lovers out there, the book is The Big Rig Kids. It is available on www.forbookloversonly.com. Is a wonderful read, and it's something for basically for people of all ages.
Yes.
For people of all ages.
Yes.
Go out and get your copy today. Renee, thank you so much for sticking
Thank you,
around.
Rob, for having me.
Absolutely. Now we have a few more books that we're going to be talking about today. Our next author actually wrote 2 books. Her name is Dawn Andrucci. Dawn has been a teacher for many years. Her desire is to bring the classroom experience to her students in both a fun and enjoyable way, which leaves them smiling and wanting to hear another story. She wrote 2 books, My Teacher is a Tomboy and Timmy Has Ants in His Pants. I love the titles of those books. We're going to start with My Teacher is a Tomboy by Dawn. My Teacher is a Tomboy is about a young girl named Samantha. She's nervous about her first day of school and meeting her tomboy teacher, and I want to show everyone the cover of this book. Love the cover.
The illustration is beautiful.
Yeah, the illustration is amazing.
Really is amazing.
It is illustrated by Brenda Higgins. And Brenda, if you're watching, you are supremely talented. Wonderful job in your illustrations. So I'm going to start in the middle of the book. There she is, our new teacher, says Tim. Look, she has spiked blonde hair, a short-sleeved shirt, and a skirt and sneakers. Miss Thompson walks by and says, "Good morning, everyone." "Sneakers? What?" shouts Samantha. "Who wears sneakers with a skirt?" "A tomboy," chuckles Tim. Miss Thompson asks us to meet on the carpet. She shows us pictures of her dogs, Dipsy and Doodle, and tells us they're her snoodles, her 2 snoodles. I'll show you.
Oh, beautiful.
I love the illustrations for this book.
Doodle. It's beautiful. It's awesome.
She tells us stories of surfing in Florida and riding the waves. After that, Miss Thompson reads us a story about being a team and accepting each other. She explains that we are all different people, and it's important to understand that. I'm seeing a theme here. I'm seeing a theme of acceptance and diversity.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is My Teacher is a Tomboy. A wonderful read by Dawn Andrucci is also available on forbookloversonly.com. Please stop by the website and pick up your copy. And the second book by Dawn is Timmy Has Ants in His Pants. A young boy named Timmy just can't sit still. Sounds like a lot of adults I know.
Okay, and we can remember hearing that growing up, too.
Right. The adults around him ask if he has ants in his pants. So we're going to learn a little bit about Timmy. Jack and Samantha caught up with Timmy at the Cubbies. "Hi, Timmy," Samantha said. "Samantha, do you know anything about having ants in your pants?" he asked her. "What? Ants in your pants? Yuck, Timmy," Samantha exclaimed. "Well, okay, because I'm hearing it a lot today," Timmy told her. "Let's go to class," Jack told him. And as you can see, Samantha, she's you can see she's imagining pants with like little ants in them.
Coming down the legs and everything else. That's awesome.
In class with Miss Thompson, Timmy flew his pencil around the room. He went to the pencil sharpener and back as if the pencil were a helicopter. Miss Thompson looked over at Timmy. "Timmy Muffinstock, can you sit down? Do you have ants in your pants?" she asked. Timmy thought for a moment. "If I have ants in my pants, I sure don't feel them." Then he softly replied to Mrs. Thompson, "Okay, Miss Thompson." So this is a really wonderful book. I think it has a very sweet message, and it's a great read.
Yes.
You know, Dawn has done a tremendous job with both Timmy Has Ants in His Pants and, you know, My Teacher is a Tomboy, and we're definitely hoping that she's going to continue writing more books. She is a supremely talented author, and Dawn, thank you so much for writing some great books. Continue the good work. And last but not least, we have Sue B. Valentine. who has written a book called Lost in Cabo. A little bit about Sue. She earned her bachelor's degree at Cal State University, Sacramento. She's devoted much of her life to human equality and social justice and has developed a passion for animal advocacy and rescue. Her inspiration to write children's books came from reading to her own children at bedtime. And she's written Lost in Cabo. It's yet another, charming and adorable book.
Beautiful.
And I want to make sure that you all can see the cover of that book.
And she wrote and illustrated it herself.
You see how talented these authors are? She wrote it and she illustrated it. And I want to read a little bit from Lost in Cabo. Connor's father explained that the animal shelter is a place people can take animals to be rescued. Sometimes a person may find their lost pet at the shelter, or animals live there when they don't have a home. When an animal at the shelter does not have a home, they can be adopted by a family that does. Animal shelters are a wonderful sanctuary and safe place to be. Connor still did not want to take the little dog to the shelter. He did not want to leave him. Connor felt sad and blue, but he decided to name the little dog Pedro. The workers at the animal shelter were very polite and assured Connor they would take very good care of Pedro. Pedro was very stinky. P.U., Connor heard the workers cry. The first thing that Pedro got at the animal shelter was a bath.
Wow.
Every day Pedro went for a walk. Sometimes a volunteer would take him. Pedro was always watching for Connor, but he never came.
Wow.
So you have to, purchase a copy of the book to learn more about Connor and Pedro. But Sue B did a great job in writing that book. And, part of the proceeds of this book will be donated to the Los Cabos Humane Society. So make sure you get a copy of that. So this concludes the books that we have for today. Absolutely wonderful books with the Big Rig Kids, Timmy Has Ants in His Pants, My Teacher's a Tomboy, and Lost in Cabo. All 4 books are available at www.forbookloversonly.com. You can go in and pick up a copy. Actually, pick up a couple copies of each book. One for yourself, one for your children, one for your local library, and one for your local elementary school. The kids are going to love it. As we are wrapping up this segment For Book Lovers Only Live Radio, once again, we want to thank Renee Brown for being our in-guest studio. And I want to announce our next contest. We're going to be actually giving away all 4 of these books to one lucky winner. We're actually going to be giving all 4 of them away. If you are on our mailing list, if you are in our Book Lovers Club, definitely shoot me an email at rob@forbookloversonly.com and just, shoot me a quick line and say, hey, Rob, I loved the broadcast, thought Renee was great, loved the books, and, I definitely want a copy. And for the first book lover who sends me an email at rob@forbookloversonly.com, you will win all 4 books because we are here to serve the community and to serve the book lovers. So, thank you, and we look forward to you all participating, and good luck. And if you're not in our Book Lovers Club, definitely make sure you join. It's www.forbookloversonly.com. It's absolutely free. There is no cost, and we're going to be sharing a lot of great information, giving away great books. We're going to be giving away coffee mugs. We're going to be giving away tote bags, a lot of great things for our book lovers because we are here to serve the book-loving community. As we end this broadcast, once again, one last thank you to Renee. We know you got another book signing and a lot of things coming up, so thank you.
And thank you, Rob, for having me.
Absolutely. Look forward to you coming back in the studio.
Oh, yes.
And for the whole series. We want to get you in there for the whole series.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to For Book Lovers Only Live Radio. My name is Rob Brown, your internet radio host and chief book lover. Thank you. And be sure to tune in next week at 3:30 p.m. for our next broadcast of For Book Lovers Only Live Radio. Thanks again. And remember, if you love books, we have a home for you. Take care.